Today, we continue our journey through the 100 days of consumer power. This is day 15, and here is the core content. First, remember this fundamental formula. Social efficiency equals total social output divided by total social working hours. And consumption? Consumption is the ultimate force determining social efficiency. On the consumption side, numbers mean power, strength in numbers. On the production side, efficiency comes from fewer people doing more. China's internet leads the world precisely because of our 1.4 billion users. 300 years ago, Britain had a small population. It was global external demand that forced it to increase efficiency, ultimately triggering the mechanical revolution. Today, most developed nations are small population countries, giving them an advantage in traditional globalization. So, how do we unleash China's demographic advantage in the new era? There is only one answer: consumer-owned enterprises. This model achieves universal responsibility, information symmetry, and scientific production. On one hand, we make the pie bigger, allowing everyone to earn both wages and dividends. On the other hand, we reduce working hours, using software to liberate white-collar workers and machines to liberate blue-collar workers. Ultimately, our average working life will drop from the current 40 years, step by step, to 20 years, then 10, then 8, until we finally work only 4 years in our entire lives. Next, let's look at the underlying logic of the market, the hand of God. Every dollar consumers spend becomes the producer's income. The selfishness and fairness of consumers forces producers to compete and innovate frantically. Consumer selfishness is innate and runs automatically. Producer selflessness is forced by competition. Consumers follow 3 unchanging laws. First, we always choose high quality at low prices. Second, we always choose the best technology. Third, we always choose the shortest possible working hours. Competition starts the market, but it naturally evolves toward monopoly. From mechanization to automation, to informatization and intelligence, the only force that can terminate monopoly is the consumer. The internet, combined with consumer ownership, creates a truly symmetrical market economy, and this power has no borders. Consumers all over the world are selfish and just. So, why do consumers hold such immense power? Because we hold 3 absolutely controllable, infinite resources: smartphones, leisure time, and consumption. As long as we unite these 3 resources, breaking this one point will break the entire deadlock. Using these 3 resources, we can build a consumer-owned universal application public market. Future profits become our assets. Total retail sales, multiplied by distribution commissions, multiplied by the future. The result is infinity. This market will generate billions in public profit every day, tens of billions per week, over 100 billion per month, and more than 2 trillion per year. And it will keep growing. It gathers the most people while consuming the least amount of time. We offer 20% equity to call for bids. With the money earned, we reinvest to mobilize the smartest minds and combine the best technologies worldwide. Producers everywhere will rush to exchange their limited assets for this infinite future. Seeking profit is the iron law of business. Let's run a simple thought experiment. Imagine a consumer-owned apparel group. With just 0 top technicians, we could create the apple of clothing and hand it over to Chinese manufacturing for production. It would lock in the annual 2.3 trillion RMB clothing consumption, earning 1 trillion per year. Its value would be infinite. This logic applies to every industry. Once the public market is built, global producers will inevitably enter and accept the recruitment of the consumers. Now, let's contrast 2 completely different logics. The first is the money-making logic. This is how the current world operates. Producers make money. Consumers spend money. If producers are selfish, consumers are forced to be selfless. The result? Misallocation of resources, mountains of debt, and environmental destruction. The more assets producers have, the more liabilities consumers bear. It is a zero-sum game where one dies so the other lives. The second is the sovereignty logic, the logic of consumer dominance. Consumers still spend money, and producers still make money, but consumers are in charge. When consumers unite, producers compete to innovate for us. We split equity 8020. The consumer's assets become the producer's capital. Everyone wins. This is a new framework where humans and machines achieve mutual victory. The root cause of why innovation is currently locked is that everyone's mind is trapped in the money-making logic. Everyone cares about how to make money, not how to improve efficiency. People think being in charge has nothing to do with them. Throughout history, no one has controlled the relationship between humans and machines. No one has been the master of money. Therefore, the starting point for solving problems is always, how do I make money? Instead of, how do I take charge? This mindset has completely frozen innovation. So, how do we break the deadlock? The breakthrough lies on the internet. Starting with 20 consumers, each of us must be a little more selfish. For ourselves, for our children, we persistently share this vision. 2,000 becomes 4,000. 4,000 becomes 8,000. It spreads virally until we reach 1 million, until everyone awakens. When we have enough people, an event will break through all information cocoons and become a topic of conversation for everyone. At that moment, everyone will suddenly realize their identity as a consumer and the life and death power they hold. When selfish unity becomes our habit, gentle yet pervasive like spring rain, consumers around the world will connect as one. Finally, what kind of future does consumer ownership bring? First, data and technology are shared by all, allowing everyone, everywhere to innovate equally. Second, software and machines work for us, so our working hours become shorter and shorter. Third, everyone receives dividend income. We no longer struggle just to survive. We achieve true economic freedom and time freedom. Right now, 1,898 consumers have reached a consensus. We only increase, never decrease. We learn selfish unity and trust together. To all friends who agree with this vision, like, share, comment, and persist. Let us save this absurd era together. Registration is complete. If you miss the next step, you belong on the pillar of shame.